Maximalism versus quiet luxury. Which home decor style fits you best? Maximalism and quiet luxury may look like complete opposites, but both can create a beautiful, expensive looking home. The difference is in how they do it. Now, maximalism is bold, it's layered, colorful, and just full of personality, whereas quiet luxury is calm, polished, understated, and focused on quality over display. One style tells your story out loud, the other leans in and whispers it through texture, materials, and knowing how to be restrained. So today, we're comparing maximalism and quiet luxury side by side. We'll look at how each style uses color, furniture, pattern, objects, and atmosphere. And by the end, you may realize that your dream home is not fully one or the other, and it may live somewhere in the middle. But before we get started, welcome back to Maximalist Home 101. So let's talk about the all-important first impression. Now, maximalism and quiet luxury almost feel like two different personalities walking into the same room. Maximalism walks in wearing velvet, vintage jewelry, red lipstick, and a story about every object in the house. Whereas quiet luxury walks in wearing cream linen, perfect tailoring, expensive perfume, and quietly says, "I don't need to explain myself, dear." That is one of the biggest differences between these two styles. Maximalism makes a strong first impression. It wants you to look around. It wants you to notice the wallpaper, the art, the pillows, all the stuff that we love to show off. The collection on the shelf, just everything. A maximalist room usually feels personal very quickly. You can often tell something about the person who lives there just by looking at the space. Maybe they love to travel. Maybe they love to collect vintage portraits, or maybe they're just like us and they just love color. Maybe they are emotionally attached to every lamp they have ever met. And honestly, I respect that because, same. Maximalism is not trying to disappear into the background. It is trying to create a room that feels alive, expressive, full of joy, and ready to tell its story. It is the number one design style for people who want their homes to show personality and visual energy. But let's take a step over and look at quiet luxury, because quiet luxury makes a very different kind of first impression. It's calmer, it's softer, and it's way more controlled. Instead of shouting for attention, it quietly suggests that everything in a room was chosen carefully. The sofa may not be bright pink, but it is beautifully shaped. The rug may not have the wild pattern that we love, but it has texture. The coffee table may be simple, but the material looks expensive. Quiet luxury is not about having the most obvious room. It's about having the most refined room. It says that absolutely nothing here is accidental. So if maximalism feels like stories, quiet luxury feels like a room full of restraint. You have one room that says, "Look at all of this life." The other says, "Look how little I need." So now let's talk about the color palette of both, because color is one of the biggest differences between these two styles. Maximalism is usually much more willing to use color boldly. Deep green walls, ruby red sofas, cobalt blue lamps, mustard velvet chairs, pink pillows, floral wallpaper. I can go on and on. In maximalist rooms, color often becomes part of the actual architecture of the space. There really isn't a section of a room in a maximalist home that isn't vibrant and fun. But good maximalism is not just random colors everywhere. The best maximalist rooms usually have a color story. It may be a burgundy tone in the rug that may appear again in the pillows. It may be a deep green wall that may connect to the plants you have on the other side of the room. Now, that repetition is what keeps maximalism from just becoming visual noise and chaos. It gives the room rhythm, even when there is a lot happening. Now, on the other hand, quiet luxury has a much quieter palette: cream, ivory, taupe, camel, soft gray, warm white, mocha, muted olive, and lots of natural wood and stone. The color is not usually the loudest part of the room. Instead, quiet luxury relies on very subtle tonal differences. You hear all the kids right now saying it's quiet on the creek. Well, it is definitely quiet on the quiet luxury creek. You might see a cream sofa against a slightly warmer wall, a pale oak table on a textured beige rug. This style is less about dramatic color contrast and more about depth that you attain through tone. Now, quiet luxury can still use color. I don't want you to think it's just white and gray and black, but it usually uses it in a muted way, where a maximalism might say, let's bring in emerald, plum, hot pink. Quiet luxury says, what if we used 5 shades of beige and made them all look expensive? And honestly, when done well, it actually works. So now let's take a look at some patterns and visual energy. Because pattern is where maximalism has a lot of fun. A maximalist room may mix florals, stripes, animal prints, vintage rugs, pattern drapes, artwork, all in one space. But the key word is mix, not just dump it all in the room and pray for the best. A large-scale floral wallpaper may be balanced with a smaller geometric pillow. A busy rug might work because the sofa is a solid color. Pattern gives maximalism movement. It keeps the eye traveling around the room and makes the space feel expressive and alive. So now, if we swim in the lake of quiet luxury, they use much less obvious pattern. Instead of bold florals or dramatic prints, it usually leans into texture. Boucle, linen, wool, leather, suede, stone, wood grain, subtle stripes, tonal rugs. This is what's doing the heavy lifting in this style. The interest is much quieter. You may not even notice it instantly in a thumbnail, but in person it can feel very rich. That's the big difference. Maximalism creates visual interest through pattern, through color, and collected details. Quiet luxury creates visual interest through materials, textures, shape, and proportion. One gives you more to look at, the other gives you more to feel. Now let's take a look at the furniture and materials. Maximalist furniture often has character. It may be vintage, playful, antique, colorful, carved, curved, painted. I can go on and on. It's just dramatic, and that's what we love about it. A maximalist home might mix a modern sofa with an antique table, a velvet chair with a rattan cabinet. Now, quiet luxury furniture, on the other hand, is a lot more restrained. The shapes are cleaner. The materials become the statement. A beautifully tailored sofa, a marble table, soft leather chair, a wool rug, a wood sideboard with perfect proportions. Those items are beautiful. And the beauty of this style is that they can carry the room without needing much decoration. Quiet luxury does not usually rely on a lot of ornate detail. It relies on quality. The stitching matters, the shape matters, the finish matters, the negative space matters. The furniture tends to be less decorative, but a lot more precise. Now, every style has a danger zone, so let's talk what each style gets wrong. For maximalists, you know what it is for us guys. The biggest risk is always clutter for us. When there is no focal point, no color repetition, no editing, no breathing room, maximalism can become a little overwhelming. Now, quiet luxury has a different risk. It can become very cold and sterile. If the room is too neutral, too precise, too perfect, too empty, too controlled, it can start to feel less like a home and more like a hotel lobby where no one is allowed to eat snacks or wear shoes in the house. I say that as a joke. Honestly, I don't wear shoes in my house either. But quiet luxury can become so polished that it loses its warmth, its cozy feeling. Now, I know this is a maximalist channel. I wanted to bring something different and just compare the style that we love, which is maximalist, to another popular style. And I think I'm going to continue this series if you all like it, just comparing it to other styles. But which style fits you best? If you're on this channel, I'm assuming it's maximalist, but has this video opened your eyes to anything that quiet luxury has to offer? I personally think that maximalism is especially good for people who want their home to feel alive. Not perfect, alive. Quiet luxury may fit you better if you want your home to feel calm and refined and elegant and polished. If you love soft neutrals, quality materials, and clean lines, spaces that just feel really peaceful, it may be for you. But the truth is, you don't have to choose completely. You can actually do a fusion of the two. You can borrow from both. You can have a maximalist room that uses quiet luxury materials, or a quiet luxury room with one maximalist moment somewhere in there. And as a quick reminder, if you love home decor and room with a lot of personality, subscribe to Maximalist Home 101. This channel is all about bold decorating. Here's the thing, guys. Maximalism and quiet luxury may look like opposites. One celebrates the beauty of more, and the other celebrates the power of less. And somewhere in between them is the real goal, a home that makes you feel something. Because the best style is not always the trendiest one, it's not always the most expensive one, and it's definitely not the one the internet tells you to copy. The best style is the one that supports your life, reflects your personality, and brings you joy. It makes you happy to come home. So tell me in the comments, are we still team maximalist, or do you have a little interest in quiet luxury now? Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.